Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome back to the Sam Redgate-Large channel. And I do apologise already. We're starting off with an apology because for some reason I can't quite get myself to stop being somewhat see-through. And it's really annoying me. I've been fiddling around with the settings, but here we are. You can at least see me now. It was completely see-through a while ago. But that isn't the only talking point of today. That is not the only talking point of today. And in the early kickoff, we have already had some Premier League action underway for us. And I'm sure all Leeds United fans will be relatively pleased with the performance that their team has just put in against Leicester City. It wasn't a bad performance from Leeds, and considering in the last 5 of their games they have conceded, they've conceded at least 2 goals in all of the last 5 of their first halves. I think they will have absolutely taken that and absolutely loved the fact that that they only conceded 1 goal today. I'm still trying to tweak these settings for you guys, just so I don't quite know why the opacity has changed. There we are. Hello, we're fully, there we go, we're back. Good stuff, ladies and gents. But Leicester and Leeds was a very good 0-0, and I hate to say it because I think people use that quite a lot, or it was a good 0-0. But up until the Harvey Barnes goal, it was really exciting. Both teams with opportunities to score. And so a really good way to kick off the football for this weekend. We've got plenty of games kicking off across the country today at 3 o'clock. Including, of course, our featured game today, which is Burnley versus Chelsea. Just to give you a quick rundown of the other games that will be going on today, we have Aston Villa versus Southampton, Burnley versus Chelsea, as mentioned, Newcastle versus Brighton, Norwich versus Brentford, Wolves versus Crystal Palace, and, of course, Liverpool versus West Ham in that late kickoff. A massively important game for Liverpool tonight against the top 4 challenger, and, of course, tomorrow, the Manchester Derby. This could make or break this league season for Manchester City. It's a humongous weekend. It is a humongous weekend. And in typical Sam Redgate-Large fashion, I have forgotten to bring over my MacBook charger once again. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go grab that. You guys make sure you grab yourself a seat and let us know your score predictions when you do get in the chat. Let us know what you are thinking for today's game. I can already see that Ultimate Sloth Gaming's been in to say that he reckons it's going to be a Burnley win today. Burnley have been on the up at the moment, haven't they, Burnley? They've been doing pretty well at the moment, and a big win against Spurs, and something that, of course, me as a Chelsea fan absolutely loves and adores the thought of Spurs losing. But there is plenty to talk about as I go and get my charger once again. This feels like a very familiar thing, doesn't it? For me to go and grab a charger from across the room. But there is plenty to talk about, and whilst I put this in fact, let's get up on the screen for you. Let's get up the squads for today, the team lineups for us. Let me move my monitor so I can get this sorted, so I can actually see what's going on, and let's whack on sofa scores for you guys, and so that you can see what we're dealing with today and how both teams are lining up for the meantime. Whilst I should have been more prepared, I don't quite know how the time got away from me. But that's how the cookie crumbles sometimes, isn't it? That is how the cookie crumbles. And afternoon to Oliver as well, who's just joining the chat for us. Lovely stuff. Let us know your score prediction for today, Oliver. And, of course, if there are any other score predictions from across the country that you want to drop in the chat, do be sure to go and do that for us. So let's swap over to this screen. And, of course, we need to set it up so that you guys can see what I can see on my screen as well. So if I quickly just accept this as a window screen and go here. Boom, there we are, all set up for you, and now you guys can see the teams. So, let's talk Burnley to begin with, because Burnley are very much a side that are battling this relegation battle, and they're looking to try today to close that gap on the teams around them. Brentford are another team that aren't out of this relegation battle, and despite the good signing of Christian Eriksen and of course him making the debut last time out, they still find themselves, especially because of the games in hand that Burnley, Leeds, all the other teams beneath them have on them at the moment, they still find themselves in this relegation. I'm intrigued to see if Burnley can get themselves out of this, because it very much would be a great escape. Of course, I'm not going to say it's anywhere near the level of Leicester a few seasons ago, and maybe somewhat of the credit goes to Newcastle as well for this season. But there we are, back, great stuff, seamless. But Burnley looked dead and buried a few weeks ago, and now all of a sudden they've got that sneaking chance, haven't they? If we look at the bottom of the table here for you, they have a chance. And as I spoke about Leeds and Brentford, both of those have played 27 games. So the likes of Newcastle, Aston Villa, Everton, Burnley, Watford, Norwich, all of these teams have games in hand on those two teams. And so all of a sudden, the momentum has shifted from Newcastle, Norwich, Watford and Burnley to everyone else around them, and it's about responding to them. Wiki Ticky, afternoon to you. He says 1-0 to Chelsea, and Oliver's going with a 2-0 Chelsea win as well. So you guys back in the Chelsea faithful, back in the Chelsea boys in blue. And as you can see, though, Burnley have only lost 10 games. I say only. Wolves have lost a similar amount. It is just converting some of these draws here, which you can see, the 12, into some of the wins. And how will they be hoping to do that today? Well, we can see the team on the screen for you. And it is classic Sean Dyche, isn't it, starting off. And the big omission from this game is the big omission is no Ben Mee today. Mee is out. I believe he got injured in the last game, and after a couple of really good games, getting himself a winner as well, in amongst those games, they'll be massively disappointed to lose Ben Mee at this moment in time. But who knows, maybe Nathan Collins or Connor Roberts or whoever's coming into that defence today, maybe they can do a good job. And of course, they are at home today, so Christian Pulisic will be wondering if he can get himself another hat-trick. Who knows? But as you can see on your screen, this is the team for today. Nick Pope, of course, starting in goal. A player who, I don't know, is he going to go to the World Cup with England? You'd think so, but I think it's more now just that we don't have a world-class goalkeeper, and Nick Pope hasn't maybe reached the potential that we all had set out for him. Leeds played really well today and were unlucky not to get something out of it. Yeah, exactly. I think Leeds will be very happy with that performance. Much better, of course, like I mentioned earlier, that phenomenal stat that they conceded in 5 games. They conceded at least 2 goals in the first half in the last 5 games, which is monumental stat. Don't quite know how that one works. But the Burnley side for today, who are looking to leapfrog themselves out of the relegation 3 with a shock win today against the European and world champions, is Connor Roberts, James Tarkowski, Nathan Collins and Charlie Taylor as the 4 at the back. Then this is where we get some of the more established players, shall we say. Nathan Collins and Connor Roberts maybe haven't featured as much in this team as they would maybe hope, but as you can see, Aaron Lennon, a man who I am still surprised he is still playing football. I am very surprised he's still playing football. I feel like he's been around for my entire life. I remember growing up and seeing Aaron Lennon playing at Spurs, and he's still there, still rolling along in a Burnley shirt this time. And the 2 in midfield, Ashley Westwood and Josh Brownhill. Josh Brownhill comes into this with a little bit of good form. I think that's the best way to say it, with 2 goals and an assist, or 1 goal and an assist over the last few weeks. So he's been in good form, Josh Brownhill, and I know Mr. Dan Ben, any of you guys remember, he has been on the channel before, but he speaks very highly of Josh Brownhill, and that he believes that break isn't far away for Josh Brownhill to get himself into a good bit of form. And what better time, eh? What better time for them to get into some form? Dwight McNeil is then starting off the left-hand side, and then the man who I named in a Joshua Chats football video, I think that's the best way to say it, as my signing of of the transfer window for January, Wout Weghorst starts up front today. I am very, very excited to see what he can do for Burnley. I think that was a phenomenal signing, and he's already got himself a couple of goals and a couple of assists in for Burnley, and already paying off the debts and, becoming a good... What's the best way to say it? A good replacement for Chris Wood. And, of course, Jay Rodriguez up front. We know the talents of Jay Rodriguez. I think he scored a worldie against Chelsea a couple of seasons ago, if I do remember correctly. But let's move on and let's talk about the team that I am concerned with. Let me just read through a few of the Wiki-Tickies comments. I think Brentford will be getting dragged further down. They can definitely beat Norwich, but they're really poor up top at finishing and creating. Leeds will just make it. I think they've got Watford and... Watford soon, I think. Norwich and Watford, right. Yeah, there we are, Wiki-Ticky. That makes more sense. Yeah, it depends on how quickly Leeds hit the ground running under their new manager. That is the main thing, isn't it? That is... They look better today, but they almost almost look like they lost their spark and what made them entertaining to watch, and maybe that's part of what they need to do until the end of the season. Lose that spark, go, right, we're going to go very Brexit, very Burnley, and go, you know what, Route 1. They didn't go Route 1. I'm not saying that they did, but maybe that's what they need to do to make sure that they stay in the league today. It's about managing expectation and making sure that they can get themselves into a position next season where they're still in the Premier League and not having to fight at the bottom or at the top of the Championship for that matter. Moving on though, we'll talk Chelsea. Edouard Mendy starts in goal. His first game back, I do believe, since the Carabao Cup final where he got... subbed off, of course, for Kepa, and we all know what happened there. But that is his first game back, and I'm excited to see Edouard Mendy back in goal for Chelsea again. There's just an aura around him at the moment, and I think I saw a BT Sport poll earlier, and it had 5 options of who do you think the best goalkeeper is in the world, and Edouard Mendy was on like 70% of the votes, and that's up against like Alisson, Edison, Neuer. These people... Oh, excuse me. Oh, too much air. These are people, that have been at the top of the game for a long, long time and are massively, massively highly rated. And Mendy, don't forget, he is a very late bloomer, like Jamie Vardy, if you will, a very late bloomer. He's 28 already, and so this is a man who has been around the block, knows what he's doing, and now is really starting to kick on. And you saw that double save against Sadio Mane. What a double save that was. A brilliant, brilliant performance. And he's been brilliant, hasn't he, since he's come in for Chelsea. And evening to Fraser, or afternoon to Fraser, not quite evening yet. And he's going with 1-0 to Chelsea as well. And then the 3 at the back. I do believe this is a change in formation for Chelsea in comparison to Luton Town. In the game against Luton Town, it was a very strange setup. I think it was Thomas Tuchel trying to manage to make sure that they could have some players back for the Premier League this weekend, and of course maybe easily being able to move people out of the way. In terms of Luton Town, you'd hope that even Chelsea's B team would be able to go toe-to-toe with Luton Town, and of course that's what they did. But we do welcome back Trevor Chalobah, Thiago Silva for tonight. Antonio Rudiger is the one player in that defence who stays in the defence for today. He has played, I think he's played the most games this season out of any Chelsea player, or at least started the most anyway, and I think that shows the level that he's performed at this season for Chelsea has been phenomenal. He's been really, really good. I've been vastly impressed with him. I think if Chelsea can't keep hold of him and he goes to Real Madrid, I think Real Madrid are going to have a really, really phenomenal defender on their hands. And to be honest with you, it'd steady up a lot of the issues that they potentially have in those defensive areas. Moving on to the wing-backs, and Saul is starting off the left-hand side for today. I am surprised, but I'm not surprised because I know now Tuchel's trying to move himself out of the way of playing Marcos Alonso. We've seen We've seen Malang Sarr play off that left-hand side as well at the moment, and so it doesn't surprise me one bit that he is playing there. And of course, Reece James, get in! He is back, and this is his first start since injury. He came into that game in the Carabao Cup final and did not look out of place at all, did he? Not look out of place. Couldn't tell that he'd been out for however many months, couple of months, 2-3 months. He came back in, did a decent job, and great to see him. Maybe he will be the catalyst for Chelsea to start getting a little bit more success again and push themselves back up that league table. Only 10 points behind Manchester City, so not too far behind that second place battle, but further enough away to think, actually, they're not going to be touching. They're not going to be in touching distance, are they? You'd like to think not. You'd like to think not. But then the two in midfield, N'Golo Kante and Jorginho, with the attacking threesome of Mason Mount, Christian Pulisic and Kai Havertz. Thomas Tuchel has recently come out and said that he believes Kai Havertz is the best out of the three attackers, traditional attackers that Chelsea have in terms of Werner and Lukaku, and that Chelsea are at their best when Kai Havertz plays as that false nine. And I can see why he believes that. Havertz seems to, especially at the moment, be able to hold up the play, drop in deeper. It gives that transition between Pulisic, Mount and Havertz. It gives it lots of fluidity and they're able to move themselves on. We just need to see Kai Havertz getting a few goals in this game, and it would be a dream come true if we can get Havertz scoring, because he does look good. Looking at the benches, are there any big names on the bench? Of course, Chelsea have a lot of money on this bench with Malang Sarr still out. I say still out because I think the reason he's been put on the bench is from a dodgy performance that me and Louis touched on yesterday in the stream yesterday evening. So that's why I think he's on the bench. Andreas Christensen, Mateo Kovacic, Ruben Loftus-Cheek, who played well in midweek. Crikey, I'm rhyming stuff now. Hakim Ziyech, Timo Werner and Romelu Lukaku. So lots of talent, and that'll be a welcome face on the bench there as well for Burnley. Maxwell Cornet, how good was he at the beginning of the season, getting himself 3 or 4 goals early on in the season, and then unfortunately sustaining a long injury. Chelsea still without Ben Chilwell, of course, and Cesar Azpilicueta. And look at that list. Look at that list for Burnley. Not when you need them. Not when you need them whatsoever. And let's see where Chelsea are. 10 points behind Liverpool, 16 points behind Manchester City, 3 points ahead of Manchester United, but 2 games in hand. So Chelsea, you'd like to think that Chelsea aren't really going to be under too much pressure. So will that play into their hands? Who knows? Will that play into their hands? We'll have to wait and see. Very little pressure for Chelsea at the moment. Why am I so green all of a sudden? There we are. I've come back and I'm a better skin colour now. I'm a better skin colour than green. However, let's talk, guys. Let's talk about score predictions. We've had a few of yours coming in. Most of you backing Chelsea for today. Of course, let's see what the Wiki Tiki says. From what I saw already, Leeds have a considerably better defensive structure and created plenty. They can punish the poorer teams like Watford and Norwich. They press the life out of Leicester. Imagine Hanley and Gibson trying to handle that. I totally agree. It has been a much better performance, and I did watch that on that off chance that that they did perform better, and my God, did they perform better. They were much better today, Leeds United, and I'm sure that'll be a welcome sight to anyone who plays and follows Leeds United at the moment. And of course, they will be still battling this, but you'd like to think Leeds, the way that they play, you'd like to think that Leeds will be able to get themselves out of a sticky situation. And it does look like it's starting to be a bit of a sticky situation. Fortunately, though, they do have those games in hand, which obviously lends itself massively to Leeds United, of course. Let me just turn this down for us. There we are, sorted. We're all set up, ready for the game. I don't know why I'm so green at the moment. I keep fading in and out of colour. I'm not quite sure. People really don't talk about how disappointing Havertz has been compared to his price tag. He's scored important goals, don't get me wrong, but moments aren't worth 72 million. I mean, I know what you're saying, but 72 million for him to take it round Edison. I think that one's justifiable. I think that one is very much a justifiable one. I can understand why rival fans criticise him because, you know, it is a monumental fee to pay. But don't forget, this lad is only 23 years of age. He is only 23 years of age, and he's already done more than the likes of Pepe, people like that, and he's got a lot of pressure on his shoulders as a young man coming into a Chelsea side that were short on goals anyway, weren't they? They were short on goals anyway. Let's try and sort this green fluctuation thing out. No, that's going the wrong way. I don't know why it's doing that. I do not know why it's doing that. Is that going to change it? I don't know. Maybe I need to make myself a bit brighter. Nope, that did not help. Right, we're going to leave it. You guys, you're just going to have to deal with this. Contrast, is that going to help? A little bit. When I get here, I'm like perfectly... I don't know. Weird one, ladies and gents. Let me know your score predictions for today's game. I am going to go with, just before we get kicked off, I'm going to go with Chelsea 3, Burnley 1. I can see Burnley getting themselves a nice first goal. Oh, what? That's strange, being able to see outside of the stadium in Burnley. That is really, really strange. Very strange. From the camera angle. Very, very strange. But hopefully a good game for Chelsea today. And as you can see, football stands together. Lots of Ukrainian flags going around. At the moment, lots of Ukrainian flags across the Turf Moor Stadium and in and around the fans as well, which is good to see, showing the support for the Ukrainians. Yeah, but anyone could have scored that. If it was Reece James, no one would have cared. I don't think anyone could have scored that. The composure to take it round Ederson, I'm not so sure. He's a better player than Pepe, but he's not shown 72 million. He's a great player and great watch. Yeah, I think as well, what you've got to bear in mind with Kai Havertz is he is still only 23, and so that, whilst, you know, we shouldn't have been paying that much, maybe, arguably, we shouldn't have been paying that much, it is still very much... Still very much a work in progress, isn't he? He's not the finished piece. He's not the finished article. And if it comes to be that 5 years' time he's 28 and one of the best players on the planet, 72 million for a player who's been here for however many years, we just got ourselves underway from Kai Havertz there, I think it'll still be worth it. I think it'll still be worth it in the long run. And obviously it depends how much, if we do sell him at some point, how much we sell him for, doesn't it? It does. It all depends on all of those things. But we are underway in Turf Moor. A sunny Burnley by the looks of things. Lots of shadows going across the field, and Chelsea playing in their black kit, Louis' favourite black kit, and Burnley playing in their regular home kit as well for them. Trying to sort this green screen out is really annoying me. Maybe not that high. Maybe that. Does that look better? That looks a little bit better. Oh, apologies. No, there we are. There we are. That looks much, much better. But we are underway here in Chelsea inside the opening minutes, trying to get themselves on the ball and maintain that pressure. Wout Weghorst, the big 6'4" striker of Burnley, there on our screens. And importantly, an important thing to sort of look at with Wout Weghorst is he has pretty much hit the ground running. You'd like to think he's had a better start to life at Turf Moor than Chris Wood has at Newcastle United, and got himself a few goals along the way as well. For me, 72 million for you would for you to be great now. That's why I was disappointed with Pepe, because we spent so much on him to be a sub. Exactly. But that's what Manchester City do, don't they? They spend 62 million on players to be subs. That is the whole entirety of their defence is pretty much just subs at this point, who are worth 70 million plus. What can we make of Burnley then? What can we make of Burnley following that brilliant win against Spurs? Are they fancying their chances again today against London opposition? Let me know. Do you think they can do it? Or are you a realist? Thiago Silva clips one forward. Headed down there by Reece James, who plays it into Jorginho. Now Kante. Back to Thiago Silva again. Silva's going to look long here. He's seen the run of Kai Havertz. It's being put under pressure there towards Charlie Taylor, who's being put under pressure, and he's able to clear that one down the line. Looking for Wout Weghorst, who looks like he's going to have a busy day winning aerial battles, as Chelsea's centre halves aren't maybe quite as tall as the 6-foot giant of Wout Weghorst. I hope Burnley will win. Will be hilarious. Thank you, Oliver. Thank you. Nice to see you full of support, as always. Big game for Saul to play off that left-hand side as well. I know, obviously, it's not a big game in terms of Chelsea's season particularly. But for Saul, a man who's been a little bit disappointing, maybe he's got his chance today because of the performance he did put in midweek against Luton. He played very well, as Louis touched on last night. Could have maybe got himself a second goal or at least an assist for Romelu Lukaku, but he was very good. He was good in midweek. Timo Werner and him were probably the standout performers of that game. Mason Mount didn't have a bad game, but he did also cross the ball onto the top of the Luton Stadium. So that's all you need to know. Chelsea already trying to stretch the Burnley backline through balls. Yeah, very typical of Chelsea that, especially when they have Timo Werner on the field. That is very typical of Chelsea to do. They often look to try and stretch defences and make sure that they've got runners in behind. When they have Timo Werner on, that is prime Timo Werner. That's where he thrives. And today they'll look to do that as well with a bit of pace up front in Havertz, Mount and Christian Pulisic. Like I touched on earlier as well, Christian Pulisic Kante steps on the ball there. Did in fact get himself a hat-trick two seasons ago. A perfect hat-trick against Burnley at Turf Moor. One on his left, one on his right, and of course one with his head to round off the perfect hat-trick. So fond memories for Christian Pulisic at Turf Moor today, and he'll be looking to try and at least replicate that. Well done, well played there by Kante. Jorginho rolls that into Mason Mount. Reece James puts it across the box, and there was two players in there, Christian Pulisic and Saul, waiting, but Reece James's cross was just slightly too close to Nick Pope in goal, and that's easy for a keeper of Nick Pope's quality. Most certainly is. If you haven't already, guys, do be sure to smash that like button for us. Try get us up towards 15 likes on this stream. That would be absolutely fantastic. And of course, we are still making our way towards that 1,000 subscriber goal. So if you are new, do be sure to smash that subscribe as well for us. Reece James flicks that one down the line. There's goals going in everywhere in Germany by the looks of things. Leipzig are down against Freiburg. Did I just see that's 2-0 to Freiburg? Oh no, 1-0. My bad. And Bayern Munich currently being held by Bayer Leverkusen. So hopefully we can get some excitement here at Turf Moor. And in the Premier League, lots of big games going on across the Premier League today. Anand saying, let's go Rudiger. Absolutely. How are we, Anand? We've not seen you for a little while. How are you? Chelsea, of course, still have the substitutions on the bench of Timo Werner and Romelu Lukaku, both of whom scored in midweek for Chelsea against Luton, as they struggled a little bit, but then eventually showed their class and a little bit of a good team spirit to get themselves back from behind against Luton Town. Connor Roberts rolls it down that line. That's a really good run there from Aaron Lennon, who tries to whip it in. And Thiago Silva headers it clear under pressure from Jay Rodriguez. And that'll be a Burnley corner. First corner of the game falling to Burnley. 7 minutes on the clock. Yeah, Rudiger absolutely flown by there by Aaron Lennon. Not where he would positionally want to be traditionally, and that's flapped at by Rudiger once again, and Kante's able to get that one down, and a lovely flick there from Kai Havertz to find Christian Pulisic. It's a 4v3 here for Chelsea if they can get the bodies forward, and Christian Pulisic has had to come back on himself. Had to come back on himself a little bit. I'm good, just a bit busy working on college projects. No worries, mate. I hope your college projects do go well for you. Hopefully you get the grades that you want. No worries. Good to see you in, and lovely to hear from you, mate. I would say I guess it is lovely to hear from you, but you're ripping up the top of the FPL league, so I'm not salty about that whatsoever. I'm not salty about that. All the way back to Eduard Mendy there from Chelsea. Saul, he didn't quite see the player coming in there, Saul. He's tried to pick that one out over his shoulder. He's watching the ball the whole time, and the fullback there for Burnley really looked like he got caught there by Saul. Connor Roberts, he wasn't looking whatsoever, Saul. He's looking at the ball, and it's clumsy, yes, but it's completely accidental, and I do not imagine anything will go from that because he is looking at the ball, most certainly looking at the ball. The Spanish midfielder. Dwight McNeil over this free kick. It's whipped in instead, though, by Ashley Westwood. Cleared, though, by Rudiger. Knocked back forward towards Aaron Lennon. Lennon gets the ball down, cuts inside, whips it in with his left foot, and that's headed clear this time by Thiago Silva. And Dwight McNeil's given the ball away there to Christian Pulisic, and Pulisic might be able to start an attack himself. He gets away from Aaron Lennon, gets away from another, tries to roll it back, looking for Saul, but it's well read by Dwight McNeil on the track back. That's better into Dwight McNeil once again. Here is Jay Rodriguez, and it's clipped forward by Ashley Westwood. Dwight McNeil, he clips it in, hoping for a late run into the box, and Reece James headers it back into the hands of Eduard Mendy. Not a bad start here from Burnley. 10 minutes on the clock. They're showing that they can get on the ball, and Chelsea haven't been as dominant as maybe you would expect, and Havertz gives away a foul there as the Burnley defenders, Collins, tries to come over and take the ball. Nathan Collins there. I don't think there's much in that, if I'm honest with you, and that might be a little bit of Chelsea bias there, but I think he's gone down very easily, the defender for Burnley today. I think he's gone very easily down. I'm sure, though, Burnley fans would be saying absolutely always is a foul. Nick Pope to take this free kick. It is inside the Burnley half. It looks like there's going to be an opportunity here to knock the ball forward into the channels and maybe someone get their head on it. It's won by Wout Weghorst, who tries to flick it on towards Jay Rodriguez. Chelsea intercept, and here's Christian Pulisic. There's a foul in there, though, once again by Burnley. Just as Pulisic was about to drop that one off to a fellow player, he's been pulled to the ground. Afternoon, Max. How are we doing? Let us know your score predictions, mate. Let us know your score predictions. (2-0 to Newcastle. Is it 2-0 to Newcastle? Is that true? Oh, Dwight McNeil going down this left-hand side. Tries to pull it into the box. It is. It's 1-0 at least to Newcastle. And Ollie Watkins has also scored in the Villa game as well. So there is, confirmation. It is 2-0 to Newcastle. Newcastle flying at the moment. I'm very surprised, actually, at how much they are flying at the moment, considering the team is very similar to the team that was struggling under Steve Bruce. But, maybe new managers, new changes, things change, don't they? In comes the corner from Burnley, headed clear though by Thiago Silva, and Aaron Lennon comes across there to stop Kante from getting on the counter-attack. It's not back forward once again, looking for Wout Weghorst, who's done really well there, and it's going to be pulled across the box, and it's cleared eventually by Jorginho. Mason Mount gets himself on the ball, rolls it into Reece James, and James tries to play out down that channel. Havertz is getting himself into some trouble here though. Burnley, constant pressure. Dwight McNeil is underrated. He's been good over the last few games, I must say. Not sure whether I'd say he's totally underrated at the moment, but there's definitely looks like there's a half-decent player. Maybe that is the underratedness, isn't it? Maybe that is the underratedness. The fact that I don't think he is underrated. Maybe that's what it is. Things have definitely picked up for Burnley over the last few weeks. Rudiger. I've always liked McNeil. Don't think he has been as good this season. I think he's been a little bit quiet. Last couple of games though, he started to sort of play into that mould a little bit. But you can say that for the whole Burnley side. They've not really had the greatest of seasons, otherwise they wouldn't be down in that relegation dogfight, because we know the way that Burnley set up most weeks, we know they are good enough to finish in the Premier League. Collins going on a bit of a wander here, and that's well read by Trevor Chalobah, who's got himself across there. No real clear-cut opportunities for either side as we go into the 14th minute of football here at Stamford Bridge at Turf Moor. God, I hope it's not Stamford Bridge. That'd be a downgrade of a stadium, wouldn't it? That would most certainly be a downgrade of a stadium. Chalobah into Reece James. He's just having a little moan at Jorginho there, Reece James, because he wasn't really showing any options for the young English fullback. He wasn't really showing too many options, and so he's a little bit annoyed at Jorginho there. On goes Mason Mount, who's got a little bit of space to gallop into. He's got Saul out left. He's rolled it into Saul, who plays it across the box. Reece James is at the back post. It's cleared. Oh, that was a golden opportunity. I think that was Havertz running in who's missed it. Mount shoots from the edge of the box. Westwood tries to get it down, and he eventually clears it. But Havertz, how has he not got a touch on that? All it needed was a touch into the back of the net there from Kai Havertz. He was so close. It was a delightful ball by Saul across that box. It was a delightful ball. I don't know how he's not got a touch on it. Has he tried to be too clever there? Maybe with a flick? It looks like he has. Looks like Havertz has just tried to be slightly too clever. And Reece James on the follow-up shot was blocked, but I think he's tried to be slightly too clever there, Kai Havertz. Oh, that was a golden opportunity. Better played, though, by Chelsea, and that's probably the first big opportunity of the game. Thiago Silva nearly getting into a bit of a muddle there with Edouard Mendy, but Rudiger able to clear for the Chelsea team. Roberts is going to take this throw in. There was just a little bit of a miscommunication there between Thiago Silva and Mendy, but just what you need is someone to take charge and headed that ball clear, and he did, and he headed it clear to Rudiger. That is the important thing. When there is a miscommunication, someone has to gamble and take control, and in that situation, Thiago Silva has done exactly that, and he's taken control, taken charge of the game. Palace are 1-0 up as well, according to Jeff Shreves in Max. Oh, lovely ball there by Roberts into Lennon. Lennon pulls it back. Wow, Weghorst! Oh, it's cleared off the line by Thiago Silva. He's everywhere at the moment. Thiago Silva. What a performance this has been by the Brazilian so far. The ball isn't cleared though, and Charlie Taylor wins himself a free kick on that left-hand side. Burnley asking questions of Chelsea. Burnley asking questions of Chelsea already, and as Max says, lots of goals. There was an opportunity here. It was a great pullback from Aaron Lennon, and Wout Weghorst. That is where you want him, isn't it? That is where you want him. Ashley Westwood and Dwight McNeil over this free kick. Dwight McNeil whips it in. It's going to be headed by... just over there by Collins, who's leapt high and got his head onto that one. See you later, Anand. Thank you for stopping by. I appreciate it. I appreciate you taking time out of your day, mate. No worries. Enjoy the rest of your day. Oh, Collins there. He maybe should have done a little bit better on that header. But Chelsea, poor shoddy defending there again from Chelsea. 17 minutes on the clock. Jay Rodriguez tries to get the ball down. It's flipped forward again. Looking for Wout Weghorst. Thiago Silva does well once again. Of course he does. It's Thiago Silva. Jorginho flicks it forward. Cleared towards Kai Havertz. Havertz can't quite win the ball. And Charlie Taylor able to roll that one back to Nick Pope and give Burnley a little bit of respite here. But it does look like Chelsea are the ones who need the respite, if I'm honest with you. Burnley keep coming, and when they don't start coming, the ears don't stop coming, is the phrase, isn't it? When the ears start coming, they don't stop coming. And that is what Burnley are doing right now. Kante, really well played there. Rolls it into Christian Pulisic. Into Saul. Saul's going to switch one. Looking for Mason Mount. Lovely ball there from Saul. Mason Mount does well to get away from McNeil. Rolls it into Reece James. Here's Jorginho. Rudiger joining in. Rudiger's going to take a long shot, and Rudiger into the hands of Nick Pope there. Not a bad effort there from Antonio Rudiger, who'd taken that step up. We saw him hit an absolute wonder strike. I believe it was against Crystal Palace a few weeks ago. So why not when you've got a decent shot on you like Antonio Rudiger? And that found its way, though, into the hands of Nick Pope. Never really going to test him with a strike like that. You need to go for top corners or absolutely place one into the bottom corner if you're going to try and beat Nick Pope from there, a goalkeeper of his quality. Thank you for the subscription, Kentonius. Great to see you. Thank you for stopping by. Really do appreciate the subscription. And I did see your message there, but I didn't quite get a chance to read it. But Thiago Silva, how great has he been? I think that was what it was about at 37. You'd have thought at the end of PSG, at his time at PSG, that he was going to be a player who maybe was going to stay an extra year. Chelsea have nearly got 3 years out of him, looking to extend that for an extra year, I do believe, trying to get 3 out of him. But here's the comment. Insane how good Silva is at 37, wasted his career at PSG. It feels like it, doesn't it? It feels like a little bit of a wasted talent, Thiago Silva, but he is phenomenal. He is phenomenal. He's one of those players who never really dictated his game on pace, and so while some, such as maybe someone like a Kyle Walker, will see have a massive drop-off in terms of pace and overall play style, Thiago Silva's main asset was that composure and ability on the ball. But great to have you in, Kentonius. I'm going to call you that. I'm going to call you Ken. Great to see you, Ken. Lovely to have you, mate. Lovely to have you. Max saying, there is a chant/song that keeps going out my head and it's really annoying. I want to know what song it is. Is it that Spurs get battered everywhere we go, everywhere they go? Is it that one, Max? It might be. I think it might be. Spurs get battered everywhere they go. Jorginho looks forward, lovely ball, looking for Mason Mount there. Just put too much of an angle on that, did the Italian third place player in the Ballon d'Or. Gonna keep dropping that in. Charlie Taylor tries to break away, but that's good defensive play there by Havertz, and somehow deemed to have won a throw-in as well for somehow deemed to have won a throw-in for Chelsea. I thought that was very straightforward that he'd come off off Kai Havertz, but apparently not. Max says no. Are you sure, Max? Are you sure? I think it might be. Chalobah, lovely play. Thiago Silva now. With a bit of time, bit of space. Just what we need with Thiago Silva. Dani Alves, do. It's kind of hard to convey tone, but I can't see what you mean. Oh, good touch there by Havertz, who tries to get inside his player and just defended nicely there. I believe that was Collins coming across and doing a defensive duty. And it isn't like the Samuel Lokonga. Do. I honestly don't know. That is just the conga song. It's time to do the conga. That's that. But I'm going to stop trying to because I can't think of what the song is either. It's kind of difficult to come out with it. So far, both teams with 3 attempts, 1 on target. Not a bad levels of creativity coming from Burnley so far. 22 minutes in, 3 chances created. I think they're taking that at the start of play. Christian Pulisic into Antonio Rudiger here. Rudiger back into Pulisic. Here's Saul. Pulisic back into Saul. Chelsea just taking their time, trying to work out where they can get around Burnley here. Those 2 banks of 4 and the attacking 2 all behind the ball for Burnley at the moment. Trevor Chalobah drives into a little bit of space, drops it off to Jorginho, who's looking for the run of Saul. Saul nods it back down to Christian Pulisic, who squares up with his player. Can he create half a yard? He has to go back to Kante. Kante into Havertz. Mount. Was Mount offside there? I'm not sure. Referee says play on, and it's blocked though by the Burnley defenders and cleared up the field towards Thiago Silva. Chelsea, as this game goes on, starting to grow just a little bit into this game, but Burnley won't be discouraged by the performance that they have put in so far for Sean Dyche's men. It's been good opening 25 minutes for them. Jorginho looking to play that ball that we saw him play for that goal for Tammy Abraham. If anyone knows which goal I mean there, he seems to be trying to play that ball in behind, just sort of a little clip ball round and through over the top. If you know which goal I mean, it was an absolute worldie of a through ball from Jorginho. He keeps trying that little clip around the corner. Here is Christian Pulisic dropping into a little bit of space, who's dropped it off to Rudiger there. Thiago Silva into Trevor Chalobah. A little bit of space for Chalobah to drive into now, who finds Reece James, who's looked comfortable so far. Rudiger once again. All Chelsea possession at the moment. Burnley, like I say, with all 11 men behind the ball. Pulisic dropping in deep once again to pick up the ball. Very little penetration from Chelsea. Absolutely, at the moment there seems to be. We need that killer ball, don't we? Jorginho keeps looking for it, but the movement up front hasn't overly been great. Saul's going to try whip one in. It's blocked, though, at that front post once again by Connor Roberts. Here's Rudiger again. That Tammy goal versus Watford. That's who it was. Reece James is going to roll that one down the line, looking there for Mason Mount to run in behind. It's going to fall to Jorginho at the edge of the box. I don't think I've ever seen Jorginho shoot without it being a penalty. Oh, it's whipped in from Reece James. It falls to Kante. Can Rudiger get a shot off? It's blocked once again. It might fall to Havertz, and Havertz has just switched off at the vital moment there with the ball in the box. He's just switched off just at the vital moment, and Burnley get away with one there. It was a little bit better from Chelsea, but they keep looking to put crosses in, and we just don't have the attacking players to play the ball in the air. We're very quick and good on the ball, but attacking-wise, we don't have that aerial presence with Lukaku on the pitch, to be honest with you. We don't have an aerial presence in attacking areas, only from corners when Thiago Silva, Rudiger, obviously. Zuma used to be a brilliant asset from corners until he started taking until he stopped kicking the ball and started kicking his cat. Knocked down the line there towards Mason Mount, and that's easily saved there by Nick Pope. Sam prefers Arsenal Fabregas to Chelsea Fabregas. That absolutely not. I've got my Fabregas top on. Is that why you mentioned that? I have got my Fabregas top on. Let me spin round. There we are, Fabregas. He's goal stream, not sure in the Prem games. Yeah, I've seen memes about that. I must say. Unfortunately for you, Aaron, because Newcastle 2-0 up, aren't they? 2-0 up as well. Two 0 up. I'm just checking the score predictions, score lines elsewhere. Still, as we were in those games from when I last spoke about them, 1-0 to Aston Villa, 2-0 to Newcastle against Brighton, 0-0 Norwich versus Brentford, and 1-0 to Crystal Palace against Wolves. And Hoover has come off for Wolves inside 25 minutes, so it looks like an injury there to the young man. Fabregas was actually better at Arsenal. I mean, he was 18 at Arsenal, wasn't he? So the likelihood is he is. But I loved watching Fabregas week in, week out. I loved watching him at Chelsea. Like the composure, the calmness. It was so good, Cesc Fabregas. I loved him. And that through ball he played for that Schürrle goal. Oh, simply sensational. Simply sensational, Cesc Fabregas. And I absolutely loved and adored him. And attempted to base my game style on him. And now I actually do base my game style on him, i.e. he doesn't play football and neither do I. When was the last time Jorginho scored from open play? I don't actually know. I remember his first goal as well for Chelsea being against Huddersfield Town, and that was also a penalty. I couldn't tell you. Jordan North is in attendance today. Of course, a very familiar face now, isn't he, Jordan North? No one really knew who he was until I'm a Celebrity, and he obviously found the hearts of a lot of the crew, and of course us guys watching at home. But I'm a Celebrity didn't really take off this year, did it? Am I the only one who thinks that? Didn't I feel like it happened? I couldn't even tell you who was in I'm a Celebrity this year. Oh, it's given away there by Kante too. I nearly said Active Aaron. I meant Aaron Lennon. Whipped in though by Ashley Westwood and straight into there. Oh, that's a dodgy punch from Mendy and he's put over. Dwight McNeil's put it over. He should have scored. He should have scored. Oh my gosh, Dwight McNeil should have scored. It's an awful cross from Ashley Westwood. Mendy comes out, he flaps at it, punches it straight to Dwight McNeil, and Dwight McNeil, that should be on target. He's 5 yards out, and he's played it over. Thiago Silva looks fuming, but he would have been more fuming if that had gone in the back of the net. But Dwight McNeil would be annoyed. Sam, right back Fabregas. Yes, exactly. And Brentford are 1-0 up as well. Max, like you even remember Fabregas at Arsenal. Don't try and pretend. Collins under that. To be fair, the two centre halves for Burnley have kept Kai Havertz very, very quiet at the moment. He has been very, very quiet. Reece James rolls it down to Kai Havertz, who's come out onto this right-hand side. Havertz cuts in on his left, drops it off to Reece James. James finds Rudiger, who's got a bit of space, who seems to be the only man taking the shots at the moment. Into Sowell, back into Rudiger, who's going to clip one in, looking towards Kai Havertz at the back post. Headed clear though. Reece James headers it back towards Kai Havertz, who gets his feet in a tangle, and Dwight McNeil able to get that one down. Sam, thoughts on Chelsea buying on Chelsea buying the SRL community? That was what I was going to say. What I meant to say was Sam, thoughts on the SRL community buying Chelsea? If you guys have 3 billion, then that would be absolutely mental, and I cannot wait for me to get to 1,000 and you guys can start super chatting me 1 million at a time. That's all I'm saying. And Max has said that it's 2-0 to Palace, so cheers Jeff. And that is a second goal, and let's find out who the goal scorer is. Is it going to tell me? Are you going to tell me? No, it's not going to tell me. But it is 2-0 to Palace against Wolves. So getting goals elsewhere. This is the only game at the moment yet to have a goal in it at the moment. Can't believe I said Active Aaron instead of Aaron Lennon. God, look what you've done to me, Aaron. Look what you've done. Wilfried Zaha with the penalty. Good stuff, good stuff. Has Rudiger always had like umlauts on the U? I've never noticed that on the back of his shirt before. I swear he's never had them before. Maybe it's just me not being observant. Maybe that's what it is. Chalobah into Thiago Silva. Burnley still maintaining quite a good press on Chelsea at the moment. And just as Wiki Tiki said earlier, they aren't really being very penetrative. There we are, I got the word out. Not very penetrative at the moment, Chelsea. And it's starting to show. Burnley been comfortable so far, other than Kai Havertz with a potential opportunity, but then he missed the ball. Aaron Lennon has lost so much pace, I'm actually faster than him. God, you might actually be, Aaron. You might actually be. You might. That is genuinely a thing. Aaron Lennon, what a career, I know. I said that earlier. I feel like Aaron Lennon's been a professional footballer the whole time I've been alive. That's what it feels like. Wolves getting pammed, told people that they weren't getting top four. I mean, I was optimistic. I wanted them to because they played so well. How can a professional winger go an entire career without practicing crossing? Honestly, I don't know. I don't know what some of these like English wingers of the last sort of 10 years, they really dropped off, didn't they? Like, you look at Walcott, how good was he at Arsenal? But he never then reached the heights. Like, why didn't he get played as a striker more often? I think he scored 15, 16 goals one season for Arsenal in the Premier League. I think there's been a severe lack of wide talent for England for a long, long time. Sterling obviously dragging that one up. At the moment, we've got Rashford, we've got Sancho. Rashford and Sancho aren't really contributing in the same fashion that we expected. Lovely flick from Mason Mount there, looking for Havertz, and Havertz is just let the ball get behind him once again. Havertz been a little bit quiet in this game. Chalobah tries to get the ball down, and that's a foul from Wout Weghorst there, trying to recover the ball after he lost it to Chalobah. By saying what a career, I didn't mean it was a good career. I know. Come on, Chelsea, let's have something. This has been such a quiet first half. I actually cannot deal with it. It's been such a quiet first half so far. No real clear-cut opportunities. Nothing to get you out your seat. Rudiger into Chalobah. Reece James into Jorginho. Wiki Tiki says Walcott wasn't a striker really. He was good that season in terms of goals, but injuries always hindered him from consistency and poor patches. Lovely ball in behind there, looking for Kai Havertz. Can he roll it back to Saul? Saul has to come back again. Chelsea still not penetrative enough in the final third. There's no one in front of Jorginho here to play the ball into. I guess that is one thing when Lukaku is there. He might have a touch of a brick wall, but at least you can play the ball off the brick wall and it'll come back to you. Yeah, I know what you mean. I know what you mean with Walcott. Walcott was a very injury-prone player, but he definitely had some ability. Not sure why he went to the World Cup in 2006, but he had some ability. And I think it's interesting. I just think it's interesting how little talent we've had in wide areas since, well, other than maybe Raheem Sterling is probably the only consistently good player that we can say we've had in wide areas for a long, long time. Oh, I've got my flip-flop caught on a cable. Saul to take this throw in. Come on, Chelsea, let's see something. I would say obvious winger choices for England is Sancho and Sterling. I think I don't know if we're going to play a 4 at the back or a 3 at the back, because I think a 3 at the back would suit us better with wing backs. But then we're having to play 5 defenders, and I know how much active Aaron will get annoyed at me if I suggest playing 5 defenders in a team. But it does work. Rudiger looking to play that one forward, looking for Mason Mount there, straight into the hands though of Nick Pope. It does work. There is a place definitely for 5 at the back. I just don't know whether we can go to big tournaments and play with a 3 at the back and then play Ben Chilwell off the left and Trent Alexander-Arnold off the right. Or for that matter, could be anyone off the right-hand side. Could be Trippier if he's fit. Could be Reece James. It could be literally anyone for England. 3-5-2, pie off the average wingers because we have really good wing backs. Yeah, I thought you'd be an advocate against that, if I'm honest with you. I thought you'd be an advocate against that. But when you've got Trent Alexander-Arnold, Walker, I know people don't like Walker, but there is no doubt he's a good defender. He's a good fullback, a good footballer. Whether he's got a few mistakes in him, I think everyone does though, don't they? If you look at the England defence at the moment, Maguire and Stones definitely have mistakes in them. But it depends on someone like Reece James and Trent Alexander-Arnold. They do have the capabilities to play in midfield, and they do have all the tools that required. So it is interesting. Most certainly is interesting. We'll have to wait and see what Gareth does next time out, eh? That being said, I don't want another international break to come. Enjoying the football at the moment. That's whipped in. Oh, Wout there. He should have been on his toes. Big Wout. He should have been on his toes. And that just dropped in the box and cleared eventually by, I believe it was Thiago Silva again. Seems to be doing everything for Chelsea at the moment. It's either Thiago Silva or Rudiger doing something at the moment. And Chelsea under a little bit of the cosh here. Under a little bit of cosh. Trent can't play. He definitely can play midfield. There is no better footballer on the planet of passing than Trent Alexander-Arnold. He can definitely play in midfield. I'm not saying defensive midfield, but he could play in midfield 100%. He's way too good. Way too good. In comes the corner for Burnley. It's right on Edouard Mendy there. A couple of these corners have been on Edouard Mendy, and Burnley seem to be trying to put the ball on him in the hope that someone like a Wout Weghorst can get a flick on right in front of him. Kante's got the ball down here for Chelsea to try and counter-attack. Pulisic does really well to drop that one off to Reece James after skipping by a few players. He was fouled in the process, and the referee does wave play on. Burnley's pressure constant at the moment. I don't know how my timer is now, 7 seconds behind the actual timer, even though I started it at the right time. But who knows? Who knows? Maybe it was when it cut out and it refreshed itself. Maybe that was when. Charlie Taylor looks to play it down the line again. Jay Rodriguez looking to do a bit of running and straight out of play though. So it'll be a throw into Chelsea about on the halfway line. He needs space to receive the ball and get it out of his feet. Midfield is too intense to utilise his passing range. Yeah, I guess, but you could say the same about Thiago. Thiago is a player who needs space to use his passing range, and he functions well. It's more about who do you put next to him to utilise that, to take away the pressure. So if you've got another 2 midfielders alongside him in a 4-3-3, then absolutely I think he could play in it. If you've got a hard worker of Declan Rice, maybe a Calvin Phillips, Mason Mount, someone like that who's hard working in that midfield, it'll take the direction from him and it'll allow him to play almost like a quarterback role in that midfield. Burnley's pressure is constant. Are you getting dominated by Burnley? In terms of a pressuring sense, we're not we've got the ball and they're not winning the ball back. But the problem is there's just 3 players just going around the pitch like this the whole time. Wherever the ball goes, Wout Weghorst, Josh Brownhill and Jay Rodriguez seem to be following. Pulisic, really good place to dribble in there. Is that a foul? Referee says no. Questioning that one a little bit, ref. And Burnley able to counter-attack. And Weghorst with a lovely ball too. Dwight McNeil, who's going down this left-hand side. Dwight McNeil, his touch has let him down. Oh, but he's kept it on. Somehow they've kept it on, Burnley. And they tried to roll it back to active Aaron Lennon, and it has gone out. And Chelsea, have been able to retain possession. But Dwight McNeil there has just fluffed his lines right at the important time. Right at the important time. Thiago is press resistant, Trent isn't. I mean, I guess we've never seen Trent in that sort of situation, have we, where he's needed to be press resistant like a Kovacic or a Thiago. So it is about working him out, but I think he's more than capable. I think he's got the facilities. Jorginho finds Rudiger. Rudiger rolls it into Saul. Sam, how are you sounding frustrated at Burnley for messing something up? Because it was such a good opportunity for them. Like, I can understand why there was a whole around the stadium when Dwight just... I don't even know what he did. Rudiger's going to take one on from range again. It's blocked. It might fall to Havertz. Yeah, it's just the frustration. I can see why Burnley fans get frustrated because Dwight McNeil there, he'd done well. He got past Chalobah. Chalobah wasn't catching him, and then he takes this poor touch, and you're like, what are you doing, man? Obviously, from a Chelsea perspective, I'm happy, but it's like you want to see something happen, don't you? You want to see something happen. The commentator's just saying, for all Chelsea's possession, Burnley have had the better opportunities, and that, I couldn't agree more. Could not agree more whatsoever. They've been really good. And they're creating big opportunities, like that pull back from Lennon to find Wout Weghorst, of course, Dwight McNeil going through there. They're just, in that final third at the moment, just not quite doing it. And I don't know why. I don't know what it is. But Chelsea, they just don't look like they've got any form of penetrative play to whip out for them. Kante's dropped in here a little bit to pick up the ball. He rolls it into Trevor Chalobah, who goes wider to Reece James. Reece James, who maybe hasn't made the attacking input that we maybe expected or hoped he would make on his return to the fold. Here's Reece James once again, who's been given it by Kante. Mount might have been offside there. He's going to look to cross one in. Havertz was underneath it. Might fall to Saul. Goes to the edge of the box from Jorginho, and it was a good strike. You know, that was travelling, and it was headed clear by the Burnley defenders. Not sure who it was there who got his head on it, but very, very good piece of defensive play there by him. He's hit that well. He's hit that really well, Jorginho. When Mike Ashley buys Chelsea and signs Steve Bruce, which Chelsea players are going to sign for Newcastle? That's never going to happen. Mike Ashley does not have £3 billion to spend on Chelsea Football Club. He is not that valid. It's not happening, Aaron. You're not getting in my head. Mason Mount whips in this corner. Looking for Thiago Silva. Cleared by Collins. Only as far as Jorginho, though, who's gone all the way back to N'Golo Kante. Lovely switch to Rudiger. Great chest down from Rudiger there. And Aaron Lennon's done his job there to get in. And clear the ball behind for another Chelsea corner. That was a delightful chest control there from Antonio Rudiger. He chest controlled it one side, ran round, and then got himself on the ball. God, this chair's a little bit squeaky today. Not sure what's quite up with it. Needs a bit of WD-40 by the sounds of things. Chelsea with 1 minute of added time at the end of this first half here. Most of this has been used up whilst Mason Mount goes to get the ball, unfortunately. So this will probably be the last attack of the half. Referee just having a word as well with Collins. And I'm assuming it's going to be Rudiger, because Rudiger's always the player who gets in trouble for Chelsea. It is Rudiger! What a surprise! What a surprise. Who would you rather own Chelsea? It would definitely be Conor McGregor. Definitely be Conor McGregor. What a silly question that is. But what a surprise. Rudiger getting a talking to there as him and Collins have a bit of a tussle inside the box, waiting for this corner from Mason Mount. Mount whips it in. Pope came for it and then decided it wasn't the best opportunity. Rudiger pulls it back to Jorginho, and that is half-time. Half-time here, ladies and gents. Burnley 0, Chelsea 0. I think Chelsea will be very, very disappointed with the way that this game has gone in the first half. And like the commentators mentioned and I alluded to a few moments ago, Chelsea had most of the possession in that first half. I'm intrigued to see what the possession stat is actually for Chelsea in this second half. At the end of this first half, going into this second half, because Chelsea have absolutely battered Burnley. But for all of Chelsea's pressure and constant ability to, what's the best way to say it? Constant ability to play the ball around Burnley. Burnley have had the better of the opportunities at the moment. And let me know your thoughts on this game so far. Of course, this is the only game so far. We'll go have a look round the other grounds in a quick minute for us, guys, and we can see the scores from the other games and have a look at them, and then we'll have a bit of a halftime quiz as well for you as well. So let's swap over screens, guys. Let's swap over and hopefully you can see this okay. Let's have a look where we are. Yeah, you guys can see that absolutely fine. So these are the scores so far today. Oh, that did not help me whatsoever. These are the scores for today, and I don't know why the featured game is Bayern Munich versus Bayer Leverkusen, but these are the scores that are going on so far. And as you can see, Chelsea, Burnley, the only game yet to have a goal. Aston Villa 2-0 up against the Saints. Let's see who scored in this game for Aston Villa. Is it a Phil Coutinho? Let's find out. Details, is it going to tell me? Here's the thing. It is Ollie Watkins and Douglas Luiz who have both scored, with assists from Danny Ings and Phil Coutinho. So for any of you guys who are fantasy football addicts such as myself, those are the goals and the assists. Burnley Chelsea, as we've been talking about, 0-0. Newcastle United, Aaron's Newcastle United, how are they getting on? Fabian Schär has got himself a goal, 2 goals in quick succession for Newcastle United in the first half, has put them 2-0 up against Brighton, which will move them even further out of that bottom 3 and to safety. That'll move them within 5 points of the team that they are facing now in Brighton, if they can hold on to this. Rudiger and Conor McGregor facing off after our first loss would be fun. That most certainly would, Ken. That would be brilliant. Brentford versus Norwich in the other game. Has Ivan Toney ended his goal drought? Yes, he has. Wow, what a surprise. And Christian Eriksen, of course, starting today with an assist from Ayer. And then the final game is, let's have a look, Palace versus Wolves. Oliver's beloved Palace have got a 2-0 lead against Wolves, who've looked good in recent weeks. But look at that momentum. I'm sure if we look at Chelsea's, actually, it's very, very split, as I would suggest. And Thiago Silva there with the highest rated so far. No real surprises there for me. No real surprises. But that's enough talking about what other games are going on. Let's have a halftime quiz. Get in the chat. Let me know if you are ready for this halftime quiz. I'm trying to move my mic so that I can actually stand up and not have to move it about. But we're going to find some Chelsea players and let's have a little bit of a halftime quiz. If there's anyone related to Burnley in this pack, I would be very, very surprised. But Aaron Moyes in here. If Aaron Moyes in here, anyone can be in here. What a legend. What a freaking legend. Oh, Antoine Griezmann's in here. Phil Coutinho. Let's have a look. Let's have a look at Chelsea. Find someone Chelsea related, at least at a bare minimum Chelsea related. Wasn't actually that many Chelsea players related in there. That is interesting. Let me know if you're ready for the halftime game, guys. And how many out of 5 do you think you're going to get in this halftime game? Let's switch to the other side. Eden Hazard. I've spotted Eden Hazard. Let's do overall Chelsea ones. Let's do the next Chelsea player, related player we can see, which is... except women footballers, because you guys don't know any of the women footballers, or the female footballers, should I say. Thomas Muller, Gary Neville, Ronaldo, Pele, Bergkamp, Zinedine Zidane, as Aaron called him. Mandzukic. Victor Moses. Victor Moses. Let's go Victor Moses. This is going to be fun for you. A Victor Moses based one. Just what you wanted on your Saturday afternoon, wasn't it? A Victor Moses based quiz. I don't know how Victor Moses is in here. Like, you've got Pele in here, and then you've got Victor Moses. Who came up with that? Who decided that Zinedine Zidane would sit alongside Victor Moses in a pack, or Aaron Moy would sit alongside him? I don't know. But Max is ready for the quiz, so let's do the quiz. Probably the best way to say it. Let's do the quiz. So, we'll kick us off with the first question. This is probably going to be quite a difficult one, but as in, like, in a whole, not as in this particular question. But the first question on Victor Moses is, which African nation does Victor Moses play for? Which African nation does Victor Moses play for? If I am correct, I do believe he represented England at some levels as well. I might have dreamed that, though. I feel like I remember seeing Victor Moses with an English card, specifically on FIFA. He did, yeah. He represented England at youth level up until under 21s. He even had 15 appearances as well for our under 17s, scoring 9 goals. But who did he represent at senior level between 2012 and 2018? And Max, do you not know? He's gone with Cameroon, and Wiki Tiki's gone Nigeria, and Ken's gone Nigeria as well. And I can confirm you two guys are right. It is Nigeria, who he played 37 times for with 12 goals. I tell you what, not bad return, for Victor Moses. 31 years of age now, Victor Moses, but not bad return for him. And of course, he played at Crystal Palace, at Chelsea. He had a loan to Liverpool as well for a little while, Stoke City, Fenerbahce, West Ham, Inter Milan, Spartak Moscow, and that is where he currently resides and plays his football. Next question. I hope I didn't give this one away here for you, but at which club did Victor Moses begin his career? Which club did Victor Moses begin his career? Where do you think he started his career? Of course, I just listed a load of clubs there, but I didn't list this one. This one wasn't one that was mentioned. Or was it? Ooh. We'll find out. At which club did Victor Moses begin his career? I will give you a clue in a little while. If you have no clues, no guesses. Max says not a clue. Bolton, says Ken. He's thinking about the right time, about the right league sort of thing. He's thinking who was a low Premier League team at that time. Max is also going with Bolton. I'll give you a clue. No idea, says the Wiki Tiki. So I'll give you a clue. One of the regulars in this group chat, or in the SRL community, as Max called it earlier, supports this side. Thogden FC. Not quite. You're getting closer. No. Yes, one of the regulars in this, in the SRL community, supports this team. Will that give you a clue? Unfortunately for Ken, that doesn't give him much of a clue, but they have been in the chat today. And then I'll give you one more if you still can't get it by from that clue. But let's have a look. Palace, says Wiki Tiki. He's gone. He thinks it might be Oliver. That I'm referring to that one. Plymouth Argyle, says Max. I mean, I think you'd have known about that one, Max, don't you? I think you'd have known about that one if it was Plymouth Argyle. Have we got any more guesses? Or are we taking Wiki Tiki's Palace? And Ken's gone with Newcastle. He's gone with Active Aaron. I like that. Ken's been paying attention. But I can reveal to you, It is Oliver's Crystal Palace, where he started his career. He actually had his youth career. That's the youth scheme he graduated from, Victor Moses. He played 58 times, scoring 11 goals in the league for Crystal Palace before moving on to Wigan Athletic and then on to Chelsea, as I mentioned before. So it is Crystal Palace who are the team that Victor Moses started his career at. Palace who? You've missed it now, Oliver. You should have stayed. For the thing. Which trophy did Victor Moses win with Chelsea in 2013? Which trophy did Victor Moses win with Chelsea in 2013? Well, my Victor Moses knowledge isn't very good. Well, it should be better, Max. It should be better. It should be much, much better, Max. I'm vastly disappointed in you. But the next question is maybe a redeeming one for you here, Max. Which trophy did Moses win with Chelsea in 2013? Oliver's gone straight in with the Europa League. It's about the right time. Is it the Europa League, though? Who knows? Who knows? I need to double check, actually, that Chelsea didn't win 2 trophies this season. Let's have a look. Because it says which trophy, and I feel like they did it last time where they said which trophy. And... no, we only won 1 this season. He only won 1. Max going... Europa League or UEFA Champions League. Max, which one do you think it is? Wiki Ticky's gone with Europa. Are you going to go with them, or do you think that was the year that Chelsea won the Champions League? FA Cup, says Ken. And Max has gone with Europa League. I can reveal to you, it was in fact the Europa League. It was the Europa League when Chelsea won. It was 2013... 2012, 2013, the year after they won the Champions League. Werner likes playing Fortnite. He most certainly does. Grant, welcome back, mate. And he, just interestingly, just looking at this here, he's obviously won the African Cup of Nations with Nigeria in 2013, but he also finished Europa League runner-up in 2019-20. And to be honest with you, I could not even remember Inter Milan getting to the final in that game. Who was it? It was Sevilla, of course. Of course it was Sevilla. I mean, over the last 10 years, your best bet is to guess Sevilla, really, isn't it? They've done really well. But congrats to you guys. It was the Europa League that he did win, and he was in the team for that. So, never won the Champions League, though, with Chelsea. Didn't win the Champions League, though, with Chelsea. Left before and joined after Chelsea won the Champions League. Which North London club did Victor Moses support as a child? And that will be the last question before we get back underway here. This will be a good result for Burnley. It most certainly will be, Grant. Lukaku scored an own goal in that game. Classic Lukaku. Bottling it on the big day. Classic Lukaku. All to play for in this second half, says the commentator, and I agree, all to play for. But before we jump into the second half, which North London club did Victor Moses support? Let me know. Which one did he support? Wiki Ticky's gone Arsenal. No way he supported Spurs. Grant went with Spurs. Ken's gone Arsenal, and Max has gone with Arsenal. And it was, in fact, he was an Arsenal supporter. Absolutely no chance in hell did he ever support Spurs. Imagine supporting Spurs, eh? Imagine supporting Spurs. But the players and coaching staff are coming back out for both sides here, and we'll be underway in a quick minute to get ourselves back underway. If he supported Spurs, I'll have lost respect for him. I know. Imagine trying to be friends with Max. He supports Spurs, Wiki Ticky. Oh, difficult, isn't it? Difficult. Makes me feel sick. Max says, I agree. Max is just proper staring into the skid nowadays. That's so weird that you come out of the dugouts at Burnley and then you have to walk across the pitch in order to get to the actual, like the seated area, like the bench. That's so strange. It doesn't seem like it would be something that would make practical sense. But clearly it works for Burnley. Maybe it's something to get in the heads of the fans. You have to walk across in front of all of the Burnley fans. But we're about to get underway in the second half. Burnley will be kicking from right to left in their regular claret and blue. And there we are underway. And let's see what Burnley can do here. And also let's see what Chelsea can do. Because Chelsea, like Grant said when he joined, he said this would be a good result for Burnley, and it most certainly would do. And I think Chelsea, if they have aspirations to maybe try and close the gap between them and Liverpool, then they definitely need to be picking points up here, especially with a couple of big games going on at the top of the table. Could be a great opportunity for Chelsea to close in a little bit of a gap and sort of build on it. I'm not saying that we're ever going to catch them, but of course, you can only play one game at a time, and your goal is to win every game and to close that gap from 10 points to 7 to whatever it may be. So they definitely need a result, and I'm sure Thomas Tuchel will have sat them down at half-time and taken a long, hard look at Chelsea's performance in this first half. It's like some of you guys have pointed out, it has not been very penetrative at the moment, and I know Aaron mocked the notion that Burnley were pressing high, but they have been pressing high and they've won it back again here. Wout Weghorst has done well as well to get the ball down. Westwood plays it back out towards Wout Weghorst, and Rudiger does well. That's probably the one thing he does lack, is when that ball is played in behind for Wout Weghorst, he doesn't have a clean pair of heels to show the Chelsea centre-halves. And but that's not the way he plays, is it? Definitely not the way he plays. Pulisic picks up the ball in a little bit of space, rolls it into N'Golo Kante, who's got a couple of players up towards the top end of that pitch, and he's given it to Mason Mount, who has Havertz alongside him. Mount slows up the play before looking to dart towards that byline, comes back though on himself, rolls it back to Jorginho. Here is N'Golo Kante. Kante to Chalobah with some room. Is he going to look for Reece James? That's a good ball into Reece James. James tries to get a shot off, cuts inside on his left foot, back onto his right foot. Reece James! What a goal for Reece James! I tell you what, that was some goal. He shifted his body elegantly and beautifully, and that is what we've missed. Reece James from right back gets himself on the score sheet. What a lovely goal from the Chelsea right back, and God, we've missed him. God, we have missed Reece James. Hallelujah. Praise the Lord that he is back. Thank God. Thank God. Lovely, lovely play. Really, really good play. And Trevor Chalobah just sets it to him. And then it's all Reece James. He cuts back again. It's through about 5 bodies there. None of them are standing on the line though. And Reece James does in fact open his account in the new year, and a brilliant, brilliant finish. Wiki Tiki says, had to hold back because I'm ahead. Another defender scores for Chelsea. Absolutely. He's on for Golden Boot this year for Chelsea. Reece James is. He's come back. An instant impact from him. I tell you what, play him up front in an all fullbacks team, and this man will score you 50 goals a season, I'm telling you. He's got an absolute wand of a right foot. And the shift in play there from him was absolutely sensational. He shifted onto his right, back onto his left, back onto his right again. And Burnley just couldn't defend it. They could not defend it. A lovely, lovely finish. Individual quality just bailing you out there. Absolutely. Absolutely. It's just when we needed him. But that's what we've missed from Reece James. That is most certainly what we have missed from Reece James there. It was a phenomenal, phenomenal bit of play by the English fullback. And, you know, that is why Chelsea have struggled over the last few months, because when Mount, Werner, Lukaku, Havertz haven't been scoring, we haven't had those goals from wide positions that we have seen previously. And as a result today, it's just bailed us out big time. And now the pressure goes straight back to Burnley, and more emphasis on what can they do now, rather than Chelsea having to go out and score, having to break them down. Gaps will soon appear. I'm telling you that now. Gaps will appear because Burnley, they're going to have to look to get themselves a goal. They'll want this point. They'll absolutely want and they need this point. And so whilst the class of Reece James has shone through there, Chelsea might be on for a difficult second half now, especially with Burnley wanting to attack and move the ball forward. It's Aston Villa 3, Southampton 0, and Ivan Toney's just scored a penalty in the other one. Cheers, Max, who has made it 2-0 in that game. I'm just going to have a look at my fantasy points so far. Coutinho, I didn't realise I captained Coutinho, but I have, and he is on 8 points for me. I didn't realise I captained Coutinho. Whoops. Oh, if I've shot myself in the foot there, that's going to be brilliant. Provided that Southampton goal was from Coutinho, that would be brilliant. I mean, come on, Phil. It is! Oh, absolutely brilliant. Philippe Coutinho, have my kids. Brilliant stuff, brilliant stuff. Here goes Christian Pulisic up the pitch. He's going to roll it. Is he? No, he's blocked. Appeals for a handball there from James Tarkowski, whose defensive play was absolutely brilliant. I can't believe Phil Coutinho has just scored, just as I've clocked he's my captain as well. Good stuff. Thiago Silva into Rudiger, who plays it back into Jorginho, whose pass was a little bit short, but Trevor Chalobah has done brilliantly, and Chalobah rolls it back into Reece James, who cuts in, and he's going to stand up across towards that back post. It was Saul arriving. He didn't fully commit to it, though, and easily defended in the end, but Chelsea win the ball back after some good pressure from Mason Mount. Saul drops it into Havertz. I'm glad you enjoyed that, Max, as well, of me finding out that it was Phil Coutinho. Lovely play again from Havertz there, trying to get the ball away. Can it Mount nick it back? Wout Weghorst doing well to hold up the ball. Drops it into Jay Rodriguez. And best accident ever. I was going to make a joke then, but I'll leave it. I'll leave the joke. I'm sure you could see where it was going to go. Rudiger rolls it into Saul. Mount has been poor. He's been a little bit quiet, hasn't he? He has been a little bit quiet. Reece James into Pulisic. Back into Reece James. Pulisic still out on this right-hand side. Him and Mount have switched for the time being. Pulisic looks to clip one in towards Kai Havertz. Is that in? It's in! Get in! What a header! I thought he'd gone into the side netting. And the fact that Havertz didn't celebrate instantly... Wow. And Aston Villa have gone and made it 4 in the other game. And Havertz gets himself another goal. Another goal for Kai Havertz. A lovely header at that back post. Finally taking advantage of his height. And I didn't see that going in. I'm not going to lie to you. I did not. The camera angle from up here, I don't know if Wiki Ticky's also watching it, but it just didn't look like it had gone in. It's a lovely ball in. From Pulisic there to hang it up, and Havertz with a header, and it just didn't look like it had gone in. And it's a good header, but Nick Pope, he should be doing better there, surely. But that does put Chelsea 2-0 up, and Kai Havertz has got himself on the score sheet once again, and Danny Ings is the man who has scored for Aston Villa to make it 4-0. And I see Oliver's comment, about Southampton to get their annual 9-0. 4-0, geez, I know, I'm sure Josh is having the time of his life in his stream at the moment. If you haven't already gone over to Sport Josh, do be sure to go and do that for us, guys, as well. That being said, he has 70 people in his stream, so I think you can go over, but I'm not sure he needs the extra support in the same sense. Guys, we are on 10 likes, so if you haven't already, do be sure to smash that like button for us. I know some of you haven't, because one of those likes is me. So who's not liked it? Be sure to smash that like button for us. Get us up towards that 15 likes. That would be absolutely fantastic. Jorginho tries to get the ball down there. It's pinged off Wout Weghorst's head, and looked to play down the line there by Ashley Westwood. And in a matter of minutes, I'll tell you what, Chelsea have completely turned this game on its head after two pieces. Well, the first piece of brilliant individual play And then the second piece of a lovely ball in. Havertz was fairly poor before that. He was really loose with the ball. He hasn't been great. He has not been great, Havertz. I don't know what it is about him. Out of the Chelsea attackers, in terms of on the ball, he is not one of my favourites, I must say. Kante rolls it into Reece James. Reece James is going to pull it across the box, and Havertz has put it in again! He's put it in again! Oh, Roman, do you know what he is worth? Kai Havertz is the best on earth. He's absolutely bundled it across the line, but Chelsea 3-0 up, and you're not singing anymore, Burnley fans. You're not singing anymore. And I'm waiting for Yusuf to appear in this chat because he put Mason Mount in his team, and I told him, put Kai Havertz in. I had a feeling about him today, and Reece James gets himself an assist. He's definitely on. So is Havertz. Havertz has absolutely bundled it over the line. But that is Chelsea 3, Burnley 0. And, well, how can moments in this game change? And now all of a sudden you're thinking Burnley could be on for a 4-5-0 defeat here, as Chelsea still with 35 minutes left to play. And like Wiki Tiki says, good work from Pulisic down that left-hand side to find Kante in a little bit of space. But Havertz reaping the rewards there. Good to see Havertz back on the score sheet. No matter what, if they're bundled in over the line, whatever it may be, good to see him back on the score sheet. And thank God, Thank God. Still 22 years of age. That'll be his fourth goal this season for Chelsea in the league. And of course, now he's playing more as a out-and-out striker, I would like to say. And Ken's just put, well, that escalated quickly. It most certainly did. What a turnaround there for Chelsea. A brilliant turnaround for Chelsea. And you cannot say that it hasn't been deserved off that first however many minutes. They were really good, Chelsea, in the first half, but just not had the penetrative nature. But now they're starting to see themselves through. But it has, the best way to say it is for Chelsea, it was sloppy in that first half, wasn't it? It was sloppy in that first half, but in a matter of how many minutes are there between those goals for Havertz? 3 minutes between the two goals for Havertz, and 7 minutes in terms of all of the goals. Ridiculous. Great to see Reece James getting some goals, getting some assists as well. That'll be his 5th goal and 6th assist of the season in 16 games. The man's found his form once again, and Ivan Toney's made it 3-0 in the other game, as you guys are gladly pointing out to me. And wow. What a turnaround this has been for Chelsea in that 7 minutes. A brilliant few minutes of football. Thiago Silva's just down here after colliding, going for the ball. Toney hat-trick, I think definitely say that Leeds will beat Norwich. If Toney can score a hat-trick against Leeds, anything can happen. We're just rewatching this goal from Reece James. What a goal it was. He had so much room around him, though. That's the thing. He had so much room around him. That header from Havertz, it was good movement into the back post. And that third goal is just so clumsy from Kai Havertz, but we'll take it. We've had those before, like with Werner's. I think that was against Leeds where he put it over the bar from underneath. But we'll take the look, We will take the look. We know Havertz has probably got the goals in him. It's just about finding that confidence. Nick Pope has been poor today. He has been. The questions that have been asked of Nick Pope, like that second goal shouldn't go in. Like, it's good movement from Kai Havertz at the back post, and don't take anything away from him. But he should do better there, surely. I can't be the only one who sees that he should be doing better there, Nick Pope, at that back post. Surely not. Josh Brownhill with a nice little flick there to find its way to Wout Weghorst. It's clipped back down the line by Aaron Lennon, looking for Jay Rodriguez. Chelsea play the ball out. And unfortunately, it's kind of, I don't know if this is going to take the sting out of this game. Whether Chelsea are going to now just sort of sit back. They've got a 3-goal cushion And that was my worry at 1-0, that Burnley, we saw it against Manchester United, Burnley, they do have players who are capable of scoring and creating opportunities. And now Chelsea are 3-0 up. I'm just worried that the momentum will go out of this game and we're going to see a 3-0 win and some poor football towards the end. But you know, I guess I can't complain. That's me just sort of looking at it as someone who is a content creator side of it, if you know what I mean. That is what I'm sort of looking at here. And bit of a late one there on Reece James there from Wout Weghorst. Reece James feels like he's really feeling that there. Pulisic is making sure he is okay. Oh, that was a bit clumsy there from Wout Weghorst. Really clumsy. Watching it from that angle, it didn't quite look as bad from the initial angle, but he's just like stepped on the Achilles of Reece James. And it looked really, really painful there. Really painful. And Reece James is in significant agony here. Significant agony. He is off the pitch, so I'm sure play will resume. But it's just not needed from Wout Weghorst. It's really not needed. It's really not needed. It's a silly, clumsy tackle. If the referee hasn't booked him, I'd be very, very surprised. Reece James is back on his feet now. By the way, you're going to watch the Liverpool game later. I am, but I'm not going to be watching it on here. I'm going to do the Manchester derby tomorrow. I've got a few sort of admin-y things, if you will, that I need to get sorted today. So I'm going to do that later. But maybe if there's demand for it. But I'm thinking about heading to the gym as well. I need to start training for my half marathon, which I've got to do as well. Still a long time left in this game. 30 minutes. I'm sure that is plenty. If Burnley want it, will be plenty for them if they want to go and get themselves a couple of goals and maybe a few consolations, or even try and nick a point. But if they do, I think they need to change something. And I think Maxwell Cornet. Maxwell Cornet will be the man to do that, and he is being warmed up and brought on here by Sean Dyche. He will be the next sub to come on. Just asking in general. Yeah, I think I'm going to watch it because it looks like it's going to be exciting. I think I'm going to put it on whilst I make me tea once I've done this. I think it'll be a good game between the two sides, and of course Liverpool have a lot to play for. Mendy's kick there, giving the ball away. Dwight McNeil tries to get himself back on the ball, and Reece James has nicked it back, but given away again by Jorginho to Brownhill. Jay Rodriguez tries to take a shot from range. It's going to be whipped in this time by Burnley, and it's cleared once again. Havertz doing a good bit of strength there, and he's held the ball up well, actually. He's done really well there to win the foul for Chelsea and give them a little bit of respite. We will be seeing Maxwell Cornet shortly. They're just giving him his tactical analysis down on the touchline. Hoping West Ham get that sweet Caroline. They're in the same bracket as Wolves. Overly hyped. I think at the moment that West Ham aren't overly hyped because I think the results over the last few seasons have been justifiable. But also in the same, I know what you mean. I don't think they quite have the quality to continue performing at this level. And if they don't win something this season, I don't think they'll finish in Europa League this season. That's a lovely ball by Wout Weghorst to Maxwell Cornet, looking to make an instant impact. And Trevor Chalobah, oh my gosh, has had to clear one off the line there. Trevor Chalobah already, and now there's a free kick. And already, instant impact there. The link-up play between Maxwell Cornet and Wout Weghorst instantly. Just a little bit of confidence. A little bit of confidence does them good. And it was a lovely ball from Wout Weghorst, and he does really well, Maxwell Cornet. But he tried to pull the ball across the box, but there was no one in there because Weghorst, of course, played the ball to the Ivory Coast International. But now there's a free kick. You've got Josh Brownhill over this and Maxwell Cornet. Maxwell Cornet will fancy fancy himself with this chance. Yeah, they definitely could. Sevilla definitely could. Sevilla are the Europa League kings, though, Wiki. That's what you've got to remember about that. Maxwell Cornet or Josh Brownhill from about 25 yards out here. It is Maxwell Cornet who's going to take it, and it's straight into the wall there. That might have changed the game. That might have changed the game had it gone in. Chelsea just need to steady the ship for the next 5 minutes or so. It looks like Burnley are going to put a little bit of pressure onto Chelsea following those substitutions there, and Burnley giving the ball away. Chelsea will want that, and Saul in no rush to go over to take that. In absolutely no rush to go over and take that. Oh, it's getting a bit cold in me flat now. Very, very cold. That's flicked on again to Maxwell Cornet. He looks sharp. He does look sharp. I'll give him that. He looks sharp. The ball clipped long here, looking towards Kai Havertz, and easily defended that time by Collins. Clipped forward again, looking for a run, and Trevor Chalobah does really well there to actually get his head on that and just flick it back, goal bound towards Edouard Mendy. Take a little bit of pressure off Chelsea. Rudiger finds Jorginho. Back into Rudiger once again. Chelsea playing some nice football now. But Saul's given the ball away. He's given the ball away, and Josh Brownhill can distribute to Dwight McNeil, who's turned himself into trouble there. Tarkowski. Dwight McNeil, who's drifted inside just a little bit, and that ball again. That ball in the final third wasn't great from Dwight McNeil. But they are going to try box Chelsea in from this throw-in. Chelsea looking to make 2 substitutions here. They've got Ruby lining up in Ruben Loftus-Cheek, and Mateo Kovacic is the other player who is warming up for Chelsea. So I imagine that'll be 2 straight midfield swaps unless Mount or Pulisic makes way in the attacking midfield positions. Havertz gets the ball down. Lovely drop off there to Pulisic, who's been good once again today. Amazing how quickly Reece and Trevor Chalobah have established themselves as first teamers. Lovely to see. I totally agree, Ken. It's great to see Chelsea players in this side who have come through the academy, have come through Cobham, and we're now reaping the rewards. Me and Louis touched on this last night in our Roman Abramovich stream. If you've not watched that, Ken, of course, as a new subscriber, you might not have seen it on the channel. But if you do want to watch that, that is there. Havertz tries to spin away there. But we speak about that there, and it's great to see Chelsea youth players starting to make their way into this Chelsea side more often than not. And it is fantastic to see. And also when you look across the top leagues at the moment, you look at all the players who are lighting up the Premier League. Quite a few of them have some form of involvement with Chelsea Football Club. I'm looking at you, Tyreek Lamptey, Conor Gallagher, Armando Broja. Great to see. Great to see. But here go Burnley down this right-hand side, looking to play the ball in towards Maxwell Cornet. Rudiger's read that nicely, but giving the ball back to Burnley once again. Collins drops it into Dwight McNeil, who looks like he's dropped in centrally a little bit more. Here is Dwight McNeil once again. Aaron Lennon looks like he's gone to join in a 4-3-3. Cornet and Weghorst up front, so maybe a little bit of a tactical shift. Lennon does really well there to get a touchdown. Silva somehow manages to clear. Is that a penalty? Says the referee. Says the Burnley fans on Jorginho, but referee says nothing doing. And that's a lovely ball there by Mason Mount to find Kai Havertz. And Kai Havertz is running in behind here against Charlie Taylor. His touch is clumsy. It falls to Reece James, and Reece James' touch is equally clumsy. But he manages to win the ball back somehow. And a lovely little bit of a roulette as well from Reece James there. He's full of confidence, the English right back. Here's Havertz once again. Kante into Mason Mount. Mount out wide to Saul, who looks to drive one across the box, and it's in! It's in from Christian Pulisic, and I said he loves playing against Burnley at Turf Moor, And it's unfortunate for James Tarkowski. He thought he'd cleared the ball. He ends up just directing it back to Christian Pulisic. And that is Chelsea 4, Burnley 0. And what looked like a good half-time result has absolutely capitulated in on themselves here for Burnley. Wow. Livramento's another one as well, Ken. Good shout. You need to freshen up your team. You needed to freshen up your team as well. I needed to offer a clear path to the first team. Could not agree more, Wiki Tiki. And Christian Pulisic does make it 4-0. So 2 goals from Havertz, a goal from Pulisic, and, of course, a goal from Reece James on his return to the first team. Livramento is the one I'm hoping we bring home at some point, although the positional class with Reece James is obviously an issue. I know, it definitely is. Chelsea making their substitution now. Off comes Reece James. I think that's a good tactical decision there. Take off Reece James. He's played well. Bring Pulisic a little bit further back, I assume, is what is going to happen until Loftus-Cheek comes on as well. Reece James is the man coming off. And who else? Are we going to have the camera on anyone else? Am I going to find out who the other player was? It was N'Golo Kante. There we are. So I think it'll be Pulisic who'll drop out on that right-hand side, or it'll be a shift of formation for Chelsea. And a lot of big teams have to bed in youth now. Barca, Arsenal, etc. Yeah, I totally agree, and that's why I think Chelsea will be okay in this post-Roman era, because I think he set the foundations there for Chelsea to go and succeed long term without the cash injection as well. Even if they become, for a couple of years, a bit of a feeder club, whilst they try and identify themselves outside of Roman Abramovich. But you look at the value of them; they're worth £3 billion. It's a monumental sum of money. Whoever comes in knows what they're walking into, or at least they should do. Or at least they most certainly should do. 4-0 though to Chelsea, and the second half has been very much a breeze. Very much a breeze for Chelsea in the second half. Maxwell Cornet trying to get himself down the line there, and he's just slipped over at the vital moment. And I think that has summed up this Burnley game. So close, but nothing to show for it. Burnley, the goal for Chelsea, the fourth one, has very much come against the run of play. Since Cornet came on, the link-up play between him, Lennon and Wout Weghorst has been brilliant. But they've just not created anything from it. And they gave the ball away. Chelsea counter-attacked. Up the field they went. And there was a mistake. James Tarkowski somehow plays it back into Christian Pulisic. And you can't give Pulisic that kind of room. This is one of those jammy results. This is the second of the day. Yeah, it most certainly is. It flatters Chelsea, this 4-0 result. I think that's the best way to say. I'm not sure, because you have good players, but if the board mentality isn't to win, then it'll trickle down. Yeah, I know what you mean, but I think Chelsea will be fine. At least for the next 5 years, 10 years or so for the short term. And then you've just got to see. Chelsea will still have money that will come into them with the new owners. There's no doubts about that in my mind. But we can't live the same lavish lifestyle that we have. Look at Spurs. They have a great team previously, but they don't want to win trophies. See Spurs for more details. I know. But I think we're set up nicely. I think we're set up a lot better than Spurs are, in my personal opinion. But if you do want to hear me talk about Abramovich and that takeover and everything like that, do go down once this has been done, and click on the channel and go watch the stream from last night as well, and let me know what has been your favourite moment of the Abramovich era. I'm sure Wiki Tiki's favourite moment of the Abramovich era has got to be probably not Eden Hazard destroying you, but I was more thinking when Eden Hazard scored against Spurs to make sure that Leicester won the league. I think Wiki Tiki will have liked that one as an Arsenal fan. Mount drifting into a little bit of space here, into Kai Havertz, back into Mason Mount. Chelsea, no real need to attack and penetrate now. They turned it on for 10 minutes and now they can just turn it off if they really need to. Burnley 4 goals down. I hate to say it, but they're pretty much home and hosed here, Chelsea. pretty much home and hosed. Burnley, though, will they want to get themselves a consolation goal? Maybe that's something that they will look at. I'm going to message Yusuf now and tell him that I was right. You should have gone with Kai Havertz. Because he didn't. He went with Mason Mount, and I knew it. And Brentford have just made it 4-0, and Mbeumo has just scored against Norwich. So that is 4-0 to Brentford in that game. So Norwich, the problems seem to be thickening down at the bottom of the table for Norwich, and Brentford desperately will have needed a win. Like I mentioned earlier on, they needed a win, but now they look like they've got it, Brentford. I liked it because Spurs didn't win, but I was fuming when we didn't win the league instead of Leicester. That was our best opportunity to win it. I know, but what you've got to remember is that Spurs came third in a two-horse race, so that's what you've got to remember, Wiki. That's what you've got to remember. But yeah, I think every team was pretty fuming that they didn't do better that season. Of course, Chelsea would have been. Oh, VAR have ruled out Brentford's last goal for Mbeumo. But like Chelsea, they will have been annoyed as well. They finished 10th that season. So that was. I remember that season. I was like, I just want the season to be over. Every week it was just like the only player who did okay was Willian, and I absolutely despise Willian as a footballer. So you can imagine my horror at Chelsea being in 10th and Willian being the star player. And of course, Eden Hazard struggling to find the back of the net as well. But who knows if that was a little bit of politics at play, football politics at play, with Hazard not scoring, because all of a sudden he turned on the class and it was like nothing had ever changed. And the Europa League final was annoying. We had a decent first half, then Chelsea, who couldn't play Sarri ball all season, started playing it. Yeah, Chelsea were good. I genuinely can't remember a team less likely to win a game than Norwich, than this Norwich side. Hate to slag off the lower teams, but this is getting ridiculous. The only team I can think of is that Derby County team from 2008, and I remember them being so far away. But even Huddersfield Town, actually, from a few seasons ago, they weren't great. Oh, that's a ball in behind there for Cornet, and Cornet's rolling around on the floor, appealing for a penalty there from Trevor Chalobah. I nearly said Nathaniel Chalobah there. What can we say, Ricky? You inspire us. You most certainly do. Chelsea against Arsenal is one of the best games. Like, I always find Chelsea versus Arsenal versus Tottenham, and whatever variation of those three teams it may be, I always find that is just basically, it's like a cup final. It doesn't matter what form you're in. Any of the teams can win it. You could turn up one day and Spurs will batter you 4-0 in. Okay, maybe not. Arsenal will batter you 4-0 in. But then the next day, Chelsea will turn up and go, all right, we're going to batter Spurs 6-0. And then Spurs will beat Arsenal 1-0. And then it keeps going around. I was super confident in that Europa League final because we always beat Chelsea in finals. Yeah, well, we beat you on the important one, didn't we, Wiki? We beat you on the important one. I'm not sure that I'm just watching that replay there of the Maxwell Cornet Maxwell Cornet penalty appeal. Oh, Timo Werner's just come on, and so has Ashley Barnes as well. Werner's come on for Mount, and Ashley Barnes came on for Wout Weghorst. But yeah, just looking at that replay of the goal of the penalty appeal for Maxwell Cornet, I'm not sure there was much in it, to be honest with you. Not sure there was much in it whatsoever. I think he was more hoping rather than actually thinking that he could get himself anything in that position. Let's see if Werner can get himself a goal. I'd love to see Werner get himself on the score sheet a good goal as well, like cutting on his right foot, bend it into that far post. That'd be great to see, but unfortunately we haven't really seen it from Timo Werner as of yet in the Premier League. Burnley do just need to keep this to a minimum now. They don't want to go home upset at the result of this game, because it could get disastrous if Chelsea just turn it on like they did for that 15-minute period once again. Obviously unlikely for that to happen. Westwood looks to clip that one in towards Ashley Barnes, who was in there, and it's just he's done quite well there, Mendy, actually. He's jumped up, just sort of patted the ball down, and then got himself on it. I suppose it's the leg across he's appealing for. Yeah, I guess. Norwich are shocking. Their players are so low quality, even Max Aarons is poor. Yeah, Max Aarons is supposed to be the player who's supposed to be the shining light, and of course, Billy Gilmour. But Norwich fans as well, they were very quick to turn on Billy Gilmour and moan at him, and I thought he's a 20-year-old Champions League winner who realistically they need to give him time. Like, he's coming into this, he's not played like a full season for Chelsea. They need to give him time and opportunity to build, but they jumped on his back so quickly, and they were very, very toxic with him. And I can't, if Billy Gilmour's then not going to perform to a standard, I don't blame him, I don't blame him. They should have cashed in on him and Cantwell much earlier. Yeah, Todd Cantwell's now gone down a level, hasn't he? He's gone down to Bournemouth. So, interesting to see how that will play out for him at Bournemouth. But for me, there's no doubt that there's talent. There we are, not talent. No doubt that there's talent in that player, in Todd Cantwell. That's a great tackle. What a tackle that is from Saul. Burnley just can't get anything at the moment. But there's no doubt for me that Todd Cantwell has talent. I think he's a good player. But he just got frozen out of the team under the last manager. And then as a result, he didn't fit the formation because he was I think the best way to say it is he was an attacking midfielder and they wanted more wide players. And he didn't quite fit in. The number 10, the traditional number 10, I don't think I can think of it other than maybe Arsenal. But Arsenal don't really play with a traditional number 10. But Arsenal's the only team I can think of off the top of my head who typically play with a number 10. Villa occasionally do, but they like to play a 4-3-3 rather than someone who's just playing in behind the striker, a player who's being creative, and that's where Todd Cantwell really thrives. And he's not adapted to that transition of English football away from the typical number 10. And I think that's where a few players have struggled. Maybe someone like a Dele Alli as well has also struggled because formations have changed and they've not adapted to them. They haven't adapted to them, and you look at this Chelsea side, only a few years ago did we have some of the best number 10s in the game. Juan Mata, Oscar, even Eden Hazard you could have said was a number 10. But the difference between those three players is that Eden Hazard adapted, played himself out on the left and was able to do that. Mata, yeah, he could, but he wasn't as good. And Oscar, there wasn't really ever a need. And so I understand. I still think there is a player there in Todd Cantwell, and like Wiki says, I wanted him at Arsenal at one point. Yeah, you did, because there's no doubt on the talent. It's just trying to keep these players motivated and making sure that they adapt. Shafter's joined. Afternoon, Bailey. How are we doing, mate? How are we doing? He says, holy 4-0. I know, Chelsea just turned up for 15 minutes in this half. And absolutely, absolutely, walked all over, is the best way to say it, walked all over Burnley in this second half. And it definitely flatters Chelsea, this scoreline, but, Burnley have made a few mistakes that have led to the goals. Reece James, a brilliant piece of individual talent as well. The number 10 is more of a concept than a position, really. Hazard was just a wide 10. Yeah, it's sort of that creative attacker. But I would say the traditional number 10 is where Odegaard plays for Arsenal right now, in behind a sole striker. And almost like a centre forward, if you will. Someone who's going to link up between that midfield and the attack. And Hazard, yeah, he definitely was a number 10 in terms of he was a wide creator. But that's what I mean. Chelsea Hazard adapted to that shift in play style away from central play to width. Yeah, I'm good, thanks. I am good, thanks. Some of the tens the people don't talk about. The people talk about now aren't actual number 10s. Yeah, I know what you mean. Like Ashley Barnes, who is on my screen right now. He's actually number 10 for Burnley. I mean, who else would be number 10 for Burnley? I guess the only player I could give it to is Maxwell Cornet. But we've got 5 minutes left, and let me know your man of the match if you are watching along at home with me. For me, this is a very, very straightforward one. And I think I'm going to go with Thiago Silva. Thiago Silva has kept Chelsea in this game in the first half. And yes, he's not had as much to do in the second half. But Thiago Silva has been excellent for Chelsea today. And as Ken said earlier, he's a player who's matured and just got better with age. Oh, what a ball that is from Ruben Loftus-Cheek to switch that one out wide. Pulled back by Saul. Here's Werner. Werner, can he wriggle free? He just can't quite there. So that is my man of the match for today. My man of the match for today is the great man, Thiago Silva. How people call Bruno a number 10, I will never know. Neymar is a number 10. Yeah, that is the difference. It's the creativity level, isn't it? Bruno, for me, I mean, it's hard to describe because he's not creative. He's a goal-scoring midfielder. Bruno Fernandes is at the best of times. He can be creative, but he doesn't have that playmaker style to him like Eden Hazard, like Lionel Messi, like Neymar. And so it's quite hard to decipher between them. But you know a number 10 when you see one. You do. You definitely do. Oh, Kovacic slips there and gives the ball back to Maxwell Cornet. Cornet finds Brownhill, who finds Westwood. Here's Aaron Lennon with a bit of space. Rolls it down. Can they get a ball whipped in here by Burnley? And no, straight into the hands of Edouard Mendy. Bruno is actually one of the worst footballers I've seen. I don't watch Bruno enough, I'm not going to lie to you. Every time I've seen him, though, he's been quiet. Even that game against Leeds, where there was all that action happening, and I think he even scored in it, he was just quiet. You don't see anything of Bruno. And it's not like he hunts the space like Lionel Messi does. He is a little bit quiet, but I'd have to watch him in more detail. I would have to watch him in more detail, Bruno Fernandes. I don't typically watch many of Manchester United's games because, well, it's all banter, isn't it, really, with Manchester United. They do have the derby this weekend, Manchester United against Manchester City. So, who knows where they'll go from here. You watching the Women's League Cup final didn't know it was on, if I'm honest with you, Shrafter, so I'm going to say no. I couldn't even tell you who's in it. Ronaldo joining them seemed to ruin him. Yeah. I think with United, you look at Manchester United, you look at Manchester City, and the distribution of goals in Manchester City, which is part of the reason why in like FPL and stuff, Manchester City is so hard to like get nailed down, because you get goals contributed from everywhere. You've got De Bruyne, you've got your Fodens, your Bernardo Silvas, even you know Gundogan's score you some goals, your Riyad Mahrez's. The distribution is good of where the goals come from, and it's varied, and so anyone can get on the score sheet. But the way that United play, they play with someone who they need someone who's going to be that out-and-out goal scorer, and having two out-and-out goal scorers doesn't really work in modern football. Yes, you do get the occasions like with Liverpool with Mane and Salah, of course Shearer and Sutton, a classic example of that, and Anelka and Drogba even, we mentioned them last night. You do get two strikers who can play well up together with them, but we haven't seen that. And I'm not saying that Bruno Fernandes is a striker, but Ronaldo joining is always going to hinder someone who is such a big goal scorer, and unless he can then implement those goals that are being scored with assists to Ronaldo and make sure that Ronaldo scores 15 goals a season, all of a sudden Bruno Fernandes is being isolated and not being talked about in the same light as Kevin De Bruyne like he was last season. I still think that was very premature and very naive, but Who knows, eh? Who knows? BBC Two, Chelsea versus Manchester City. Well, thank you, Shafter. I might have to have an investigation on that one. Bruno is terrible, just forces everything all the time, even when it's not on. So poor in possession, can't dribble, not press resistant. United aren't a balanced team, and Ronaldo and Bruno are just selfish as each other. Well, there we are. Tactical analysis from the Wiki Tiki there. I do. That's what I mean, though. Like, the goals just come from one area, don't they? They either come from Bruno, or they either come from Ronaldo. I nearly forgot Ronaldo's name there. When Ronaldo eats someone after starve. Look at Benzema now. Prime example. Brilliant shout there. Brilliant shout. Oh, Werner putting Burnley under a little bit of pressure there, and Nick Pope had to panic. We've got about a minute left here, guys, at the end of this game. I thought the game would die out after that. Well, after the third goal, I thought it would. We got ourselves a fourth, and it definitely has died out now as Dwight McNeil tries to dribble the ball clear. It always seems just a little bit pointless, doesn't it, when you get to these stages and you're 4-0 up or you're 4-0 down, and you just think, I just want this game to be over. Not a great performance from Chelsea today, by any stretch of the imagination. We touched on it earlier, but I guess this is what the best sides do, isn't it? The best sides are the sides that win, even when they don't play well. And that has been the epitome of Chelsea so far in this game. The absolute epitome. Oh, gosh. I always hiccup a lot whenever I do live streams. I think it's because I have to speak so much, so I let in a lot of air and don't let the air out. CR37 is washed. I'm actually starting to doubt this guy's career because he has no touch or technique. I wouldn't doubt his career. You've got to play to Ronaldo's strengths. If you've got Ronaldo in your team, you need to play to his strengths. It's as simple as that. And they haven't. Quite simply, they haven't played to his strengths. Well, that's fallen to Pulisic there. And Pulisic, has he got himself a corner late in the day? No, he hasn't. And might be the last action here if Nick Pope takes his time. Oh, God, Burnley, you've bored the hell out of me today. Oh. No final product, eh? No final product for Burnley. And that is the story of their life, I guess is the best way to say it. To quote One Direction, the story of their life. Very, they just switched off for 5 minutes, didn't they? Very quick sort of turnaround for Chelsea. And that is it. That is full time. The referee's blown up 4 seconds early. I don't think anyone's going to criticise that. No one was expecting Burnley to have a comeback following the end of that game. Because, to be honest with you, Chelsea, they dominated the first half in terms of possession. Had no real bite in that first half. Didn't look like they had a spearhead, an opportunity to create anything really. But then in the second half, they for 5-10 minutes, it wasn't even the whole game, just for 5-10 minutes, they just switched on the class. Chelsea did. A brilliant individual goal by Reece James, of course, and a brilliant little bit of play as well by Kai Havertz with the header. Christian Pulisic played well as well. Thiago Silva was phenomenal throughout that game. Just looking at the scores coming through. 4-0 to Aston Villa still. Newcastle 2-1 against Brighton. A little bit of time wasting going on as they make substitutions into the dying seconds of that game. Norwich have got themselves a goal against Brentford, and Wolves are still 2-0 down against Crystal Palace. But I'm going to leave you guys there because I must say my throat is absolutely on fire. I do hope you've enjoyed. Thank you to those who have been in the chat, and of course to our new subscriber Ken. Great to have you in the chat for today. I've thoroughly enjoyed it. I hope you guys have as well. And let me know before we go, guys, what have been your thoughts on this game so far? I say so far, this game today, because Burnley, they were, in that first half, you looked at them and said they should have been maybe 1 or 2-0 up. Chelsea didn't create much. Yes, they had a lot of possession, but Burnley had the better of the opportunities in that sense. And, you know, when it comes to it, Chelsea, against teams like Chelsea, you've got to be cutthroat, you've got to be clinical, and they just weren't. They just weren't at the end of the day. And Chelsea, they showed their class. They did show their class. Just in this Newcastle game, up comes Robert Sanchez for Brighton in the dying seconds, trying to get a point here. Cucurella going to whip one in. And there we are. That is full time in that game. And thanks, Ken. Really appreciate you stopping by. But I will leave you guys there. I do hope you've enjoyed. If you haven't already, do be sure to smash that like button, hit subscribe for us, try get us up to 15 likes, and of course, do be sure to check out we're going to be streaming the Manchester Derby tomorrow, of course, the big attraction tomorrow, and of course, as well, do be sure, if you are a Chelsea fan, you love Chelsea, go and listen to almost like a podcast style thing, which me and Louis did last night, talking about Roman Abramovich, the Abramovich era, why it's coming to an end, and what this means for Chelsea Football Club. Flattered to deceive from Chelsea. Poor defensive play from play, and Chelsea showed their quality. Exactly. Nail on the head. Well, guys, thank you for watching, and most importantly, guys, stay safe. Cheers.